As a hi-fi enthusiast, and especially as a hi-fi reviewer, I often find myself concentrating and focusing on what's new and what's worth getting excited about. But I felt it was time to kind of go back to roots really and think about where hi-fi even came from. And of course, it all came from the Horn speaker. And in 2021, there are some exceptional Horn speakers available, but I felt that I didn't really know much about Horn speakers and I've never really had much of a chance to listen to them. So I've come out to an absolutely beautiful part of Germany to speak to Avantgarde Acoustic, which I'm sure most audiophiles would revere as one of the best manufacturers of not only Horn speakers, but full Horn-based hi-fi systems. And they've got something really special in store for me, and I cannot wait to take a look and especially a listen to it. So Holger, thank you very much for inviting me out to Germany, out to see you guys here in, where are we based? I can never pronounce the word.
It's in Lautertal, in the Odenwald. It's close to the Black Forest.
Your slogan or your kind of phrase is love, listen and love, sorry. So what does that mean? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, you know, horns are very special, and the relation we have towards the products we build is as well very, very special. It's not, yeah, we do our job, we build speakers. No, to build horn speakers, our spherical horn speakers, it's something, it has a lot to do with love. And what we do, we love very much. And the same is, if you look from a customer perspective, the customers who purchase a product from us, it's not just, oh, I bought a speaker. No, for them, it's really something much, much more. And it's really like a love relation, because it's not only the product, but the music you play through the system make you feel falling in love with this.
In terms of horn speakers in general, why use horns? Why are horn speakers your preference?
Maybe let me turn back the time. You know, in the mid-80s, I was at a dealer. I was a student at that time. I listened to a horn system. It was the Klipschorn. And the dealer, he played it very, very loud, Dark Side of the Moon from Pink Floyd. And I was absolutely blown away because there was so much impact, so much energy, and so little distortion. So I looked into all that subject, and I researched on why does this speaker do things normal speaker do not do. So doing all this, it's listen and love. I fall in love with the horn technology, and this since then really changed my life. And the big thing about horns is that in speaker design you have a membrane moving with the music, yeah. And what you have to do from a physical point of view, you have to reduce the mass you are moving. And with a horn, you can reduce this moving mass dramatically. So you have much more energy you transmit, you have much less loss, you have much dramatically reduced distortion levels, and last but not least, because the moving mass is so little, you are able to reproduce details which are normally hidden in normal speaker designs.
Because it's interesting, I feel like with speakers in particular, that designers have to make a choice, maybe function or form. Then you wonder whether they're designing speakers because of the form of them, you know, to look a certain way. So I think Avantgarde acoustic speakers look very unique. But is it form before function, or is it function before form?
If you look at the trio behind us, this is our first speaker we did. I think the first prototype was built in nearly 35 years ago. But still, the old one looks exactly the same like the existing new G3 model. And why? Because the form or the design or the shape is really ruled by the horns. You have these three funnel-shaped horns, yeah, which are the eye-striking visual appearance besides the frame structure and everything else. Yes, with Avantgarde, the look of the speaker is clearly form follows function. It's the function is the horn, and the horn is not because I did a nice curve, this looks cool. It's mathematical algorithms, yeah, and mathematical calculations. So the shape of the horn today is exactly the same like in 10,000 years. It's physics, yeah. So definitely form follows function.
Well, before we go into kind of any maybe specific information or detail about the new speakers that are behind us, it just so happened that my kind of visit has coincided with a brand new product from yourself that you're kind of getting ready to launch soon. So, you know, I'm absolutely blown away by the fact that I've got to come out and listen to the speaker and the hi-fi system now. So behind us is the G3 Generation 3 Trio speakers. Why release a new flagship speaker now?
This has a lot of to do with very long cycle times within Avantgarde. We launched the first G1, Generation 1, in '93 at the high end at that time it was in Frankfurt in Germany. Then it took 15 years to make the Generation 2, which we currently still sell for this year, and then in January next year there will be the Generation 3 being launched. That's the speaker behind us. And we do this now because we have now had many little things we could improve. So the G3 series is not just the third generation, but for G3 is as well, you know, like a synonym or a symbol for the utmost quality from Avantgarde in the past 30 years. And as you said, this is really special because these moments that you have a sneak preview into a technology which will only be launched next year, this happens every 15 years, so you have to wait. I would be very, very old for the next G4 or whatever.
I mean, obviously the G2 series speakers, which we can see there, that's still an amazing speaker. So how do you, I always ask this question, how do you find ways to improve on a speaker that's already that good?
Everybody at Avantgarde, we are total aficionados. Yeah, we are addicted to improve. Going from G2 to G3, there's only 4 components which are the same. This is the big horn of the low mid-range, it's the mid-range horn, and it's the back covers of the drivers. These are 4 components which are the same to the previous model, but all the rest, the drivers, the magnet structure, the crossover components, all the mechanical components, the stand, the spike system, everything has been totally redesigned.
This particular horn speaker, there's one for the mid-range, one for the treble, one obviously for the mid-bass. And then you have the horns behind us, the space horns. Yeah. Is that right? Is that named Space Horns for the bass bins behind us?
It's a satellite system. So we have a satellite going from 100 hertz to to the new model to 28 kilohertz, and then we have a bass system which we call Space Horn because it's a horn-loaded folded design which uses the room extension like the floor, the wall, the side walls as an extension of the horn. So for example, the Space Horn has a horn length of nearly 2 meters. Okay, I don't know in feet or so, but it's a very, very long horn-loaded system with a very special driver architecture where we use a 6-inch voice coil, so a massive voice coil. So we have massive power behind a very long, precisely calculated horn for this really super speed in low frequencies.
So speaking to you yesterday, you said that one of the most important things is not necessarily the horn itself, that is really important, but actually the driver that plays through the horn is really critical for the performance of the speakers. And they are all your own drivers, aren't they, that you manufacture?
Yes, correct. You know, a horn is nothing else. We funnel the sound waves in a very precisely calculated way. So instead of radiating the sounds all over the place, the sound is really directed towards the listener. So for this reason, we have less loss. We have much higher energy levels at the listening position. We have less distortion, we have much more resolution. But the big point is, how do we radiate, how do we emit, or how do we create the sound waves, and how do they roll through the horn to the listener? So talking about horns, it's not only about horns, it's the horn driver assembly needs to be precisely calculated and aligned to each other. A conventional driver for a conventional speaker is totally different compared to a horns driver. You have totally different pressure ratios on a driver in a horn system than on a non-loaded horn system.
Now that makes perfect sense, because these are, in a lot of audiophiles' eyes, I'm sure, very premium speakers. You know, they're obviously designed a certain way. They come with a premium price tag, and sometimes maybe people don't realize why they have that premium price tag. It's because everything has to be, well, everything's made in Germany and designed a certain way to fulfill a certain function. Have I understood that correctly?
You just pointed out the big disadvantage of horn technology. From a sound point of view, it's the best you can get. From a consumer point of view, there are some drawbacks. And number one is size. As the horn size needs to be adapted to the frequency range it has to work. The lower the frequency, the longer the wavelengths and the bigger the horn. For example, the big horn behind us has a diameter of nearly 1 meter, so it's a very big horn. But even this big horn is only capable of reproducing frequency down to 100 hertz. So it's not a bass horn. No, this is just the low mids, yeah, and it's already 1 meter big. So you see, number one, a horn is very big. Yeah, you cannot make small horn systems, impossible. The other big disadvantage is it's very expensive. It's not only the additional component, the horn you have to produce, but it's the driver technology behind, which is really by far more expensive than with conventional speaker designs. So a horn system will always be very big, and secondly, will always be very expensive.
I'm counting the tender lines. I'm caught in heaven like 24/7, losing my grip of time with you.
Something that we spoke about before, which actually I thought was really interesting, is that you spoke about the importance of your customers and kind of looking after customers with different tastes, which is why kind of you design in some sound tailoring options. Because it was interesting, because you've designed a new capacitor for the passive crossover, for the passive version of the G3, but you've also designed a whole new amplifier technology to go with an active version of the G3, which is really, really interesting. We did the A/B comparison, didn't we? We listened between the two different versions. So in a way, it's why do both? You know, why develop a better passive crossover and also develop a better amplifier for the active version?
A customer who is going for a really a very elaborate system like the Trio G3, it's not his first audio system. We have customers, they are audiophile, they are within this hobby for a long, long time, so they went through a variety of electronics and speakers and so forth. And so what I'm saying is that our customers mostly are really hardcore high-end guys who do not do this for the first time. And mostly they already have very, very dedicated electronics. A lot of our customers have tube electronics. They like very much this smooth, warm tube sound, which requires very sensitive speaker to cope with this little energy or power they are having. So we believe we must cater our customer. And if the customer opts for a conventional voltage amplification like a tube amplifier, we have to offer passive speaker technology for him so he can connect his equipment to the speaker. So this is why we really tried to redesign our new crossover to a very, very sophisticated level. But at the same time, we believe from a physical point of view, the new iTRON technology, where we do not just amplify the sound, but we directly control the acceleration of the membrane, is a big step in audio technology. It's a huge step. And the combination of horn technology and iTRON technology, you know, current amplification. This is like, to our opinion, the eclipse in audio. This is really the place where paradise caresses music, what we say. It's really something very, very special.
Yeah, because it's interesting, because trying to understand the difference between voltage amplification and current-based amplification is actually quite difficult as a non-engineer, a non-technical person. But you did explain it to me and it did make sense. But what definitely made sense was the listening comparison. So you've designed a switch system here, haven't you, where you can just listen to the passive version and pretty much instantly switch to the iTRON amplification version. And the difference in sound is very instant and very dramatic. So it's, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve just a more true and more accurate sound with the iTRON?
Yes, and with the switching device, you know, we are not saying what we do is the eclipse of knowledge, and this is, no. Everybody has an individual taste. So what we try with this new technology and with this A-B switching, where you really can compare a passive speaker through conventional electronics and directly A-B compare it with iTRON, very sophisticated iTRON current amplification, is that the customer can get his own view of this. Yeah, we found out at the beginning, people very often said, "Wow, they prefer the conventional voltage amplification," and then after some time they think, "Yes, but with iTRON there is like a new window opening up, and there's a new." It's a totally new way to listening. So from a technology point of view, it's clearly there is not no ifs and what's. The iTRON technology clearly is much better in controlling the sound by directly controlling the acceleration and deacceleration of the membrane. But from a customer point of view, you have your listening habitats, you're used to whatever. So maybe that still customer prefer the more smooth and more round and maybe more warm and more, I don't know, a sweet sound compared to the iTRON very, very controlled and articulated sound.
And one thing that come out of this is you've mentioned that these are speakers for life, but not just your life, maybe your siblings, not siblings, it would be maybe your children's life. In a sense, you're designing a speaker that is very future-proof, because you can, well, for starters, you can change it from the passive to the active version without the system coming back to, or even back to the dealer. You can do that at home, which is a really interesting option. But you're also going to make it future-proofed, maybe with different, if different technologies arrive in the future, something that we spoke about.
What we found out, you know, talking to our customers, and you ask why people invest so much money in a speaker system. It's a consumer product, although it's not a consumer product, but because it enhances your life quality at home, because you can listen to concerts whenever you like and bring back moments from the past directly into your listening room. That's pretty cool. But what we found out in all this discussion is what they like very much is that the horn technology is nothing fashionable. Today horns are fashionable. No, horn is physics. Yeah, it reduces the moving mass of the transducer. So whatever technology in transducer design will come up in 500 years, in 1,000 years, in 10,000 years, you put a horn in front, yeah, maybe the 3 horns we have behind of us, it will be 10 times better. That's physics. Yeah? So as long as our physical laws in our universe will not change, the horn technology will always be good. What is happening now, we have electronic elements going with the speaker, like these active iTRON electronics. We have as an option as well network capabilities, so you can directly access the speakers through your mobile phone. That's the new way we listen to music, streamer technology. So we thought, if this is all implemented in this speaker, what is the customer doing when next year or in 10 years Bluetooth 10.0 is being launched and this is not working anymore with the technology we have today? So is he throwing away a speaker which costs more than 100,000 euro? That doesn't make make sense. So we clearly said we need to detach the electronic components from the speaker components. So you have the speaker, you have one modular system which you plug in, is the passive crossover. So you have your passive system. You have another module plugging in, which is the iTRON electronics. So have your full 6-channel amplification and voice call acceleration control in the speaker. And you have a third element, which is the streaming device. So each component you can add later on, you can exchange later. And to make it easy, that you do not have to do soldering or unsoldering, all the electronic components are connected with a special multi-pin connector. So you just unplug the respective module, detaches, replace it with the technology at this time. So the speaker will grow with technology, the speaker will grow with your needs. Maybe today you want to use your tube amplifier, maybe in 2 years you want to clean up your living room and you don't want electronic devices in your house. So you get the iTRON electronic which is built in, and maybe some years later your son will say, here Papa, I want to use my Spotify or my Tidal and directly, so you later on purchase the respective network capability module. So the speaker will grow, and for us it's really our customers who purchase this system, they buy this and they use it for their lifetime for themselves, and then for sure they will not throw it on a bin, but they will give it to maybe their daughter or whatever, and it stays in the family and it remains to be a nice element in their house.
I think another thing that's pretty cool is this facility here, which obviously I'll try and show the viewers as much of it on camera as possible, but this is a very large listening room, and behind us you've got the G2 version of this speaker system, which is another very large speaker system, and there's literally horn speakers everywhere. To me, this is like horn speaker heaven, you know, for most audiophiles. So this particular facility is in your factory, isn't it, really?
It's very important. What is the difference between an Uno and a Duo? And is it worthwhile the step to the trio to really invest so much money? I cannot tell him this. He has to answer the question by himself. And as we said in the brochure, you know, listen and love. In the brochure we say, first cut is the deepest. You know, the first moment you will listen to a big Avantgarde horn system, specifically the Trio G3. I promise you, Terry, you will not forget in your life, because it's something very, very special. And for this kind of first encounter or second encounter, or it doesn't matter, we created this showroom really to have to give the possibility to the customer who are interested in this to, you see outside, to see and to touch and to walk around, and here in our listening room to really experience all the systems. And all systems are connected, so we can, if the customer wants to listen to the Uno, to the Duo, to the Trio, is no problem. We can listen to all the systems through the same chain.
Well, Holger, it's been an absolute pleasure and a real treat to come out to Germany to see you. Thank you very much for hosting me. It's been an unbelievable experience, and it's great to get access to these types of hi-fi systems, actually sit and have a listen. But more important than that is spend time with people like yourself to teach me more about the company and more about these speakers. So thank you very much.
Terry, the pleasure is just on my side. Thank you very much for coming here.
Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I think it's been massively fascinating. And obviously there'll be links down below to the Avantgarde Acoustic website if you'd like to go on there and find out more. Again, it's been a real treat and a real pleasure. So thank you. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the Pursuit of Perfect System YouTube channel if you haven't already. Of course you have. And again, Holger, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye.